if I did it right this time, as I have another. Want to go over here to my channel and see if it's working, and that way I can also see some of your discussion as you come in. So hopefully, here we go live, and I got the orientation wrong again. I don't know what the hell I'm doing with this thing. Let's just do this. I will never ever get this right. I swear I put it on the other orientation and uh, it changed, right? I don't know what's going on. So I'm here, right? It's election day. It's 2024, and we're gonna see what I got in this box here off eBay. It's a large flat rate box. Now, this box should have sports cards of all kinds, and it should have some kind of autographs was supposed to be in it. There's supposed to be serial numbered cards in it. There's supposed to be other things like that as I go through and open it. Now, the one thing I am concerned about this, right? This box, the seller took about a week to even put it in the mail. So that's always kind of hanky to me when they do that sort of thing. Wondering what's going on. I'm guessing they weren't satisfied with the price I paid. I got this at an eBay auction for $1. So, even if in that kind of case, who knows what's in here, if they maybe changed some of the cards from the pictures, because you couldn't really see all of them in the pictures anyway. And the last review that they got on eBay, somebody, I guess, bought something similar, and the description said, cards in perfect condition and yada, 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 and they weren't. So, for $1, I guess we'll take the chance and $1 plus shipping, right? We'll take the chance and find out here, and I'm not really out much. If I have to go through and give a negative review afterwards, that's just what I'll do, right? So it is election day, 2024, and I will be live over on my other channel, Dr. Old School, later tonight, along with probably half the internet that have these sorts of web pages, right? Or YouTube pages or Rumble pages, or wherever you go out there and follow this stuff. Hopefully you voted if you are here in America. If you haven't, go do your duty and as a member of a constitutional republic, right? To participate in the electoral process, whether you're satisfied or not. I can tell you first off, right, the picture that I got, on the ad from this card did not show the orange, because you can see it sort of right here, this orange. This is going to be 88 tops, right? Now, to their credit, I'm guessing they aren't pack fresh. I'm guessing these are, straight out of a factory sealed box, as fresh as these are, and they're in order, right? You can see the number order. So, if there's one cards that I had a lot of already, right? Because I bought, Kenseiko. I bought a cache of wax packs from a local seller not too long ago. It was Greg Maddox, right? Tony Gwynn, back to back in the set, and that's pretty cool. A long time ago that I've been opening those packs, and I've been sending out those packs and doing things like that with them. So there'll be plenty of 88 tops in the next go around. In fact, this looks like all 88 tops here as well. This is score that I can see here. That's more 88 tops. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take out the top level here. It's just 88 tops. I don't want to go through all of them. Maybe I'll go slowly through some of them, because I did want to talk about the election. If anybody knows and says definitively who's going to win tonight, they're lying to you. There is so many signs going so many different directions and that sort of thing. If they're telling you what's going to happen, it's their willful partisanship, that type of stuff. Obviously, I have somebody I want to win. I voted for Trump. I've said that several times here on the channel. I am not a MAGA person, but I have never in my life voted for a Democrat. So this was not the election that's going to change that, not with the person that was there. My decision, right? Like I said, I'm a political science professor. I know it's a little bit, probably not what you're expecting to hear from a political science professor, but, I have many reservations with Trump, of course, but that was the direction I felt was best. I voted third party several times in the past, and I didn't do it last time because I just know from personal experience what a shit show Biden would be, and I was right. And, no. That's all I'm going to say about that. That's my personal sides of things. Now, here's the all-star cards from that set. But just in looking at, the things that are out there, the early voting data is a good sign for Republicans if you're going that way. Some of the stuff I've seen today has been still suggestive of a lack of enthusiasm among Democrats, for lack of a better term, at least in terms of who's showing up at the polls. So that could be a sign in one way. And then you've got that other reality, though, that the Seltzer poll put out there from Iowa over the weekend that got a lot of, attention from the media. The polls are sort of that dueling reality. Seltzer's got her brand, if you will, that, she's trying to support and get in that sense. But otherwise, if that reality doesn't exist, where Democrats are turning out and doing so in a way that is winning over seniors and going in that sense, right, in that direction, then if it's more like what the other polls are suggesting, where the Republicans have built a broader coalition, they're appealing. What happened to that card? Ugh. They're appealing more to a broader, swath of voters and that type of stuff than they have in the past in terms of African Americans, in terms of Hispanics, things like that. Then, that's what we're gonna have to find out. And that's why I'm saying nobody knows. It's going to be really close. Now, what I do think is funny, what has amused me this morning is, you always get the stuff out there, the information out there from folks that are on the ground trying to vote, and for whatever reasons, machines screw up. Now, no machine are ever going to be perfect, right? No voting machines are ever going to be perfect. I don't care where you're at. There's always going to be issues and problems, and I'm just going to pick these out of the way. I'm tired of looking through these 88 tops, but the places that they're having problems, right? One of them is Johnstown, Pennsylvania, and that's Cambria County, Pennsylvania. If you go on Twitter or X and that sort of thing, you were going to see several reports of the machines being down and people having to vote by, various other methods, alternative sorts of things. And, my whole family is basically, I am the first person in my family that's born in America that was not born in either Johnstown, Pennsylvania, or Ebensburg, Pennsylvania, or in that kind of area, right? That sort of like 30-mile radius there around Cambria County and stuff. It is old school, kind of working class union. If you go way back, to when Slapshot was made there, because if you ever watch Slapshot, the Paul Newman movie from the late '70s, Charlestown, as they call it in the movie, that's Johnstown. Okay, even down to the dog that they criticized there that saved some people from the Johnstown flood. Right? There's that one scene where they're in the park in the downtown area there by what used to be known as Glosser Brothers, GBs, there in Johnstown. But they're sitting there talking, and this is sort of an old school working class Democrat kind of area, right? But of course, what's that meant in the last 10, 15 years? John Murtha is long gone. These are Trumpian Republican kind of areas, right, where this thing shuts down. But I've been sharing memes with my buddies online, and my Twitter feed, my Dr. Old School Twitter feed, and just my other friends in, just not even in politics and stuff in the world, just like Johnstown. Johnstown could be the place that makes the decision, right? And it's Gary Carter, my big PC, though I've got a jillion of these ones, right? But it'll be hilarious to me if the whole election comes down to Johnstown, right? So I will be sharing Slapshot memes with everybody until the end of time. So here is 89's score. And all that I took out while I was just blabbering on there, all of this that I cut out of the box, that is all 88 tops. That has to be more than one set, right? That was broken down. And this you can see here is 88 Donruss, which is the other thing that I've got. This looks like 90 tops. So again, for a buck, I guess I can't really complain. I'm still looking for the autographed cards, and I'm guessing these are top loaded. So that must be what they are. We'll look at them in a minute. But haven't seen a lot of 89 score fresh out of a set, so let's check this kind of stuff out. I've got my comment feed up here if you want to talk about the election or you've seen anything. Wade Boggs, highlight card, oral. Wrigley Field, getting the lights. But feel free to comment there if you got questions that you think a political science professor could try to answer. That's about the extent of my credentials that I can give into this sort of thing. But it's going to be close. That's the bottom line. I think you're going to see several states within 1 or 2%. I don't think we're going to know who's winning later on tonight. think there's a chance, right? I mean, I have been stuck on about the 287 number for Trump winning for about 2 weeks, and I have not changed that. I have not wavered from that. That means he wins of the swing states. He wins Nevada, Arizona, Georgia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania. However, I could see that, going, I could see him tipping the other states. I could also see Harris winning all 7. So, I mean, there's arguments to be made pretty easily in both directions. What the hell happened to that card? Is that like bad ink from the printer, or is that what is that? Is that somebody of all the cards to have a pen scratch on? What do you have against Mark Salas, some backup random catcher from the White Sox way back then? Right into the garbage with that. But hey, to be fair, right, like I said about this box when I started opening it, the last review from this buyer was they were all in bad shape. These are not, right? So for $1, I'm getting some good filler for my packs that I'll go through and fill out. And I did not put the link to my Etsy shop in the description, but you can find it, right, in various other places here. If you're talking about the Senate and stuff like that, I think it's a foregone conclusion the Republicans are going to win. The question is how many. 51 seems to be the low water mark where they'll get West Virginia pretty easily. And Montana seems like it's going to go Republican for the Senate. From there, right, then you start talking about the swing. Well, you talk about Ohio first, right, which isn't really a swing state anymore. Will enough Republicans show up there to pull Bernie Moreno across the line? Sort of with coattails from Trump probably there. Trump should win Ohio by a decent margin, especially with Vance on the ticket. I mean, a decent margin, 7-8 points at the least, right? Will he drag Bernie Moreno with him? And then that's the question too, in Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Nevada, Arizona, right? Will he drag the others across with coattails too, if Trump wins, right? Now, if it's the opposite world, right, that we live in, it's the Ann Seltzer world we live in, then we start talking about, I still think you get, maybe Montana would be in play there. I kind of doubt it, though, just based on what I've seen. They're not going to win West Virginia. But then you start talking about what, states you think are going to be red would turn blue. And the first one on that list is going to be Texas, right, which, and that's not as much as it being a blue wave in Texas or anything like that, as much as Ted Cruz is hated almost as much as Trump for a lot of people. So, that would be sort of his problem there if he were to fall off. And then start looking for other states after that. Nebraska with their fake, independent running that's actually a Democrat. But, yeah, I don't know. I still think Republicans are pretty safe to win, as Will Clark, pretty safe to win the Senate. And I think the House will be, whoever wins the presidency will drag enough with them, again, with their coattails, to win the House. I don't think either of them, no matter how big if it does turn into a blowout somehow tonight, either way, right? I don't think either of them get past 225, 227 in the House, just the way the lines are drawn anymore. And that sort of thing. So that's my take. Been wrong before. Not afraid to say it. I've been racking my brain. That's why I'm sitting here on 11 o'clock on election day when I should be working, probably, arguably, right? Maybe grading something or, doing research or something. Instead, I'm sitting here opening baseball cards. Some random box I got off eBay because my brain is mush dealing with all of this. Oh my. So feel free to chime. Whoops, I just saw a question on there. How is pulling outfits become incompetent over the last number of years? Has statistics failed? No one genuinely likes Kamala or thinks she is capable. Well, I definitely agree with the latter point. So I cut my teeth, if you will, getting into political science and that sort of thing. I was, my bachelor's and master's from the University of Delaware. And that means I know the president. I, have met him. Because if you were in Delaware at any point in your life and there was any kind of event going on, the one thing that a younger Joe Biden actually did, and you can, I'm saying this as a registered Republican, somebody who never voted for him when I had the opportunity, he actually knew what retail politics were, if you know what I mean. He would be at every event, shaking every hand. If there was a camera, right? The old school disposable cameras, right, and stuff like that. He'd be there. He'd find it, right? Joe taking the train every day, right? All that sort of thing. So we've met, and to the point that, when I worked in the Center for Applied Demography and Survey Research way back when as a master's student, we did polling for him and stuff like that. And I don't know if I have that Gary Carter, to be honest with you, in my PC. I am going to set that aside and check. But anyway, polling back then, when I ran a polling lab, because we didn't just poll for Biden. We did, other government polls and that type of thing for health insurance. We did one that was funny. It was on colorectal cancer, right? And the first question was, are you 50? And if they weren't, they just hung up. But, because that was who it was kind of aimed towards. But, back then, of course, you were running as I was running a survey farm, right? It's just a bunch of people in cubicles. What also happened, and where's it at here? Oh, I'm talking on my phone. If you had one of these, right, that was one of the other early questions. Is this a cell phone? And if it was 20 some odd years ago when I was doing this would have been 2002 and 3, that kind of area. We hung up, right? Because we didn't want to duplicate potential results between somebody we might have called on a landline and somebody we called on a cell phone. We can't do that anymore, right? Because, people still do have landlines, but it's such a small percentage of people that have landlines. So now, as you're doing this sort of thing, you have to just, randomly call and, with a random digit dialer, or you might have some information about voters a little bit and that kind of thing, depending on the model you're working with and how you're building that random digit dial. But this phone that I'm sitting here, I live in Indiana, right? This phone number is still a North Carolina phone number. So, I get texts, and I have got texts from this election. I have a David Cohn PC I want to check. But, I still have got texts, vote for blah, 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 right? Because they're just spamming, right? Whatever, phone numbers they can do in North Carolina and stuff like that. So this is what's made it difficult. And I know a lot of pollsters don't or struggle to admit that sort of thing. Because just think about your phone, right? I know how my phone is set up here. If you are not in my call list, right, or on my contacts or anything like that, it goes straight to voicemail. And I never hear from you. I screen my calls. And I ain't alone doing that. So that's the problem, right? Where you already had such a low response rate for polls, even back when I was doing it, right? 20 years ago with landlines. Now you see actual response rates versus the numbers are called are down in that 1% kind of area and stuff like that, because people screen their calls. So then who are the people that actually answer the call? And that's the other problem with polls, right? Is who are the ones that are eager to talk about it? There are folks out there that are politically engaged, right? They're really into what's going on, really into these sorts of things, and are more than willing to stand up and tell whatever random voice is on the phone or hit the buttons if it's an auto dialer as well, right? Because a lot of this is done automatic. You think that's the sort of problem with this. Your point is the polls are nearly 100% accurate. The recent polls clearly are not rigorous. Of course, that's the other side of the problem, right? Polls are made with a confidence interval, right? And there's always a margin of error. So you see a poll right now that says Trump 47, Harris 47. What you're really seeing is, Harris could win by 6 or Trump could win by 6, right? Or 7 or 8 or 9 or 10, depending on what that margin of error is. So when I watch the polls and I watch the results and stuff like that, and they bounce around, like, today, let's say, what the heck is that? Today it's, let's say Trump was up 1 in a poll and tomorrow he's up 2. I don't care. It's the margin of error bouncing, right? It's all within that sort of range and that kind of thing. So that's they're not 100% accurate. They're not nearly 100% accurate because there's been error in both ways. Trump has always been somebody as well that his poll numbers have been lagging, at least in the last 2 elections. But then you go look at 2022 and it was overstating Republican support. So it's hard to compare presidential races with the midterms in terms of who shows up and that type of thing. But Polls are tricky, right? And they've only got more difficult. I know some have tried to blend, online stuff and things like that into how they do polling with that. But then you've got even more engaged people that are willing to take an online sort of thing. First half of my life, the economy lagged behind monetary policy. Now the economy is immediately impacted by monetary policy. Yeah. Um, so much out there, with just as much as the government spends, right? They demand to spend, but of course, to do so, right, they borrow, and that ties it right back in with, uh, the policies that's out there. The monetary policy is controlled by the Fed. So, you know, I don't know. It's going to be an interesting one tonight. Some of these cards are a little bent here. That kind of got jammed into the corner, like poor Lenny Nails, right? Lenny Dykstra. Look at that card. Kind of got the short end of it there. Strawberry. Gary Gaetti. I don't know if you could see this. This is like, ugh. I don't know what happened to that one. So yeah, when you jam cards, you can't really see them, how they're kind of jammed in the side here. It's always nice to get a lot of cards. When they're jammed in like that, it's, they're going to get some damage. But like I said, I paid $1 for this box in the end. So whatever it is. This, you could tell these, again, are fresh out of a factory set. Right? In fact, they're out of 2 factory sets because they're the same thing. Oh, God, there's another one. So they're all the same cards. And oh, my. Look, they're all the same piece of the factory set. Maybe, unless every one of these has a Stan Usual card for some reason. I don't remember the last time I opened an $88 factory set. Although they're showing different cards in the back, right? So maybe they are just different pieces, and they give you that, usual card for whatever many number of times there. Some that are open here, maybe that'll give us a little guide. Of course, 88 Donruss, right? And, one of the most overproduced sets that there is. At least they got all the rookies here. Lance Johnson. Remember the 1 year he had for the Mets? The candidate's age used to be an issue, now no more. Yeah, remember Reagan making fun of Mondale trying to make fun of Reagan in that one debate, right, in the 1980 debate, and Reagan flipping it around on him. He will not make age and inexperience an issue in the campaign, even though, of course, Reagan was significantly older than Walter Mondale. But yeah, I mean, that wasn't an issue. It wasn't going to be an issue, or they were trying not to make it an issue when Biden was there, although, of course, Biden has been, declining mentally. You can't, I mean, I know that's not something people like to hear, but, he was never always playing with a full deck, but he's really not playing with a full deck now. So who knows? I mean, you can attribute some of Trump's behavior to that too. I mean, Trump's always been a wild card, but, pretending he's given a blowjob to the mic stand the other day and stuff like that doesn't exactly support it in some way. Believe they selected Trump, and chaos is the goal. Well, I think you're getting riots either way tonight. And I'm not saying, like, a bunch of MAGA people are going to go out and riot. I think when I say you're going to get riots either way, it's going to be in the usual places. Seattle, Portland, those kinds of places. And it's going to be for a variety of reasons, right? If Trump wins, they're going to be mad because it's Trump, right? If Harris wins, they're going to be mad about, foreign policy and stuff like that, in that kind of sense. So, I part of me just has a hard time, and you see it with some of the representatives and stuff, that they're just going to go, with all the things that they've said to Trump over the last few years, with the things they've tried to do, I'm not saying about the shooting and stuff like that, because we really know way too little about the shooter and the shooting. It's pathetic how little we know. But at the same time, I mean, do you really expect them to just go, you got us, you won, right? All the rhetoric and all the things, Oprah out there screaming how women will never have any rights again, and all the Nazi talk. And there was some nutcase historian they like to bring on MSNBC this morning that I saw floating around the internet saying how we'll never be able to write again. Trump's going to shut down the, printing presses and shit like that, right? Again, it's just hysteria. But unfortunately, working in academia like I do, that kind of hysteria permeates, right? So, especially in the social sciences where I work. So, aside from Andre Dawson there, some 89 tops. I'm guessing all this is going to be 89 tops. But here's the puzzle, the Stan Musial puzzle from that 88 set. Just going to throw those out. What do you mean by false opposition? No, he didn't. What do you mean by that? So a bunch of 90 tops here. Well, this saves me from having to go out there and find more junk wax era stuff, I guess. Wathen, of course, the Omen on a certain channel here on YouTube. Gene Nelson took a little beating there in the corner. Are we going to get imagine the Frank Thomas card being in here from 90 tops, right? The no name. It won't be. It'll be. I doubt it'll be. Just even the regular card will be in here. There's Gary Carter, Tuffle, Wade Boggs, Larry Walker rookie. Got the Larry Walker. Will we get the Griffey rookie out of this? The infamous scab card. That if you go to the right place on Facebook Marketplace, they have it at a ridiculous price. Trump, Biden, Kamala, Putin, etc., all playing for the same team. The fight is staged. There is that uniparty argument, right? Where, they're all going to do basically the same thing anyway. They're all going to fight the same side. I've heard that. I mean, J.D. Vance, where he stands on a lot of economic issues, isn't too dissimilar to Elizabeth Warren, right? Way over on the left in that. The other side, right? The fight is. Look at what they're fighting about, right? It's all dramatic crap, right? As opposed to the jobs report last week. That's what matters, right? People working, other sorts of things. Hey Perry, how you doing? I don't know who's going to win. If you want my bet, if I am going to the various betting markets and stuff like that, I am putting money on Trump, but not a little, or not a lot, I should say, not too much. I think he wins the Sunbelt states that are swing states. The early voting numbers and then the election day numbers I've seen out of Arizona look pretty good for him. The Nevada numbers are surprising, and that's why I think they continue to surprise. The early Clark County voting numbers I've seen today are favorable to Republicans. I think he can win Georgia because the urban vote's down. Same thing in North Carolina, though North Carolina's a little crazy, of course, with the western part of the state still being a mess. And I think he can pull off Pennsylvania. It's not going to be easy. And yes, as you're saying, razor-thin margins. Pennsylvania and Nevada of those, I think, will be the closest. But I think he can pull those off. That gets him enough. He has to win one of the three Sun Belts, or not Sun Belts, Rust Belt states to win. Right. Otherwise, Harris can win as long as she keeps Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, assuming, right, there are no other surprise states. So that just those three plus the ones that we expect her to win gets her to 270 even. Now, what becomes fun there with the 270 kind of stuff is, do we get a faithless elector? Right? Do you get some random Democrat that's pissed about Gaza or something like that and goes and doesn't vote for her, and we wind up in the constitutional crisis kind of stuff? Same thing could happen too, because there's ways that Trump could get to like 271 or 272, and you get a Liz Cheney type that votes for somebody else in the electoral college. Because that's what you got to remember about the electoral college: they can do whatever the hell they want. Right? We're just voting for party hacks to go vote for us in the electoral college, and they can change their mind. Go look at the 2016 results. So. That's my thought. I think, as I said earlier, I think Republicans hold the Senate, or win the Senate, I should say. 51 being the low number there. I think 52 is where I would settle. But if Trump does actually win big, if the polls are wrong favoring Trump, in the ways that they missed him in 2016, 2020, then you could start getting to 53, 54, 55 seats for the Republicans kind of easily, just from him dragging them across the line. But if they miss in the way that that Iowa poll was suggesting, then, I don't think the Democrats could win enough states to pull it back. But really, if it's a 51, all they would need was one. If they could pick off a Texas or something like that, they'd be back at 50 and they'd have control. So heavy turnout? No. I think we're down from 2020 for a variety of reasons, right? 2020, everybody was the COVID mail-in crap. But I think you've seen it just enough in urban areas, right? And that's the biggest problem for Democrats right now is the urban vote turnout is down. So unless that changes today, which I don't understand why it would change today. That seems to be what they're banking on. But the problem in urban areas has always been, that's why we created early voting, is, the lines in urban centers are always way too long and that disenfranchises people and they're not going to show up. And then suddenly today they're just going to look around and go, yeah, let's go vote today, right? Let's go wait in line for hours, right? That kind of stuff where they haven't in the past. So they got a big hole there that they need to dig out of if somebody is being realistic about it. Doesn't mean they can't. They just need enough, right? They need enough women, perhaps, to swing over to their side, is what their other side of the Democrat bet is, that women are going to vote for or against Trump because they don't like Trump or they want to protect abortion and stuff like that. But beyond that, I'm still looking for the other cards in here. Beyond that, I don't know. I've never seen a line at any voting location more than 10 people. When I early voted here in suburban Indianapolis, I waited about half an hour in line 3 weeks ago. So take that what you want. This is a traditional Republican area. In fact, many of the local races, there wasn't even a Democrat to pick from. There's a lot of folks thinking, right, this fits the sort of mold, if you will, of a swing area that we've seen in recent elections, right? Suburbs, college educated, et cetera, right? But that's one I'm going to need to see the results to actually believe it. My wife is going to vote today in a little while. I guess she'll tell me what our actual precinct looks like here in the middle of the day. Never had to wait more than 3 minutes. I'm 48. 2016, I went at 6:30 in the morning here in Indiana because it's 6 to 6, the voting hours here. And I want to say we waited almost an hour in line. And at that point in time, it was like in an old folks' home where our polling place was. Now, that was on election day, but it was a long line on election day that year. That's the longest I waited. I do not ever remember waiting in college, or if I did, it probably was 5 minutes, right? Something like that. Voting in first Maryland, then Delaware, then North Carolina. So, yeah. In and out, 15 minutes or less, suburban California. Yeah. I mean, the one thing, it depends, right? Like I'm telling you about where I waited in line here to early vote. So I voted at our county fairgrounds, right? And there were 10 booths. And Hamilton County here in Indiana probably has 600, 700,000 people now in it, maybe 500,000, 600,000, something like that. They had 10 polling booths in the county fairgrounds. Of course, we're going to wait in line. I mean, if it's that undersupplied. Now, they had other polling places too. Don't get me wrong, but yeah. Pretty sure as I'm going through these, and we're not seeing either Griffey or Thomas, they were yanked right out of this because these are clearly straight out of factory sets. They're in order and they are way too crisp to be anything else. Only ever voted on election days, never had to wait. Jersey Shore. So I taught, before I came out here to Indiana, I actually taught at Kane in New Jersey. My wife's from Queens. And, so that's up there in, Union, New Jersey, right? About 7-8 miles west of the Newark airport. And I lived in Westfield. So, I voted the 2012 election right after Sandy there. And your daughter goes to Kane. That's funny. Yeah. Now, Kane was not a good place to work when I was there. Of course, that was 2015 when I left. There's been a change in leadership and stuff like that. But is she in the education school there, I'm betting? Because that was their big major, like various teaching and stuff like that. What was sad about Kane was, I have to advise students. I do it now for interns, here at Ball State. But, I would go back, and she does. She goes to the Ocean County. Yeah, I taught down there when that building opened and everything. It was that building when it opened, and they. I remember trying to plug in my laptop and stuff into the wall, and could not figure out, like, why won't this display on the screen? I'm doing everything right. I'm plugging everything in. This is pre HDMI, right? And that sort of stuff. And I remember ripping the cover of the thing off the wall. I had a screwdriver in my bag, so I took it off. And this is when the building was brand new. They had just stuffed all the wires in the wall. They had never stripped any of the wires. They never did anything like that. They had just, they didn't hook up any electronics. They had just stuffed it into the wall and then stuffed the cover over top. So, yeah, it was under Farahi when he was the, whatever you call it, president of the university, something like that. I mean, he was a fool. His $220,000 table and, everything like that. That was just such a mess. Ball State had a liquor store. It'd be called Ball Liquors. I forget what the liquor store's called right there, right off campus. There are plenty of them around Muncie, though. You can get anything you want in Muncie. Yeah, I mean, well, the other thing about Farahi, right? Remember, I teach political science, and I'm really in public administration. So Farahi went from from what I was told, from the department chair or whatever, or the public administration department, because they're separate there, to associate dean for a little while, to the president of the university, right? Very Jersey, right? Just jumping having the right connections and jumping up to, the president of the university in that sense, with nothing in between. So to say he was over his head, he had the right connections. That's what mattered. And then his vita, right? I mean, my academic vita, I'm not bragging or anything like that, because you put literally everything you do as a professor, you put on an academic vita. It's about 25 pages long. His was one page, But he was the president of the university. I remember him wandering into my class, right after I had accepted the job out here, and I just didn't give a crap anymore. And he just randomly went, "Oh, what's going on in here?" Oh, as my students were about to take a test, and he's like, "Why aren't you getting ready for class?" Like, you're interrupting them. They're trying to get ready for. They got a test here in a couple minutes. "Oh, I'm sorry." He was such a fool, pretending like he was in the wrong place. He knew what he was doing. Only put up signs of a feminist Middle Eastern woman and married to an Indian. It was me arguing with 3 women and the teacher the entire semester. So much fun. Sounds like me when I was taking sociology classes back in Delaware. Best professor I had at Delaware was a Cuban woman. She didn't take shit, but she also was willing to have that kind of stuff, and have that kind of discussion. She allowed it to actually happen where others didn't. Political science OCC, my professor wrote a book. No, I don't know if I'd remember somebody specifically from OCC, because I never had much interaction with straight up OCC professors, right? It was sort of in that bubble there in the, the Kane Ocean building. I remember being shut down there for about 2 or 3 weeks after Sandy, too. Not going down there. That was the first semester I was there. Let's look at these. Here are the insert autograph, whatever cards that were supposed to be included now that I've dug them out. So here's a serial numbered Leon Washington card. The first football card of the box. It was labeled as all sports, but it's been all, junk wax baseball so far. Right around the corner. Such a small world. I'll tell a story I told my students yesterday. The first time I ever voted, right, it was in Maryland, 1998, governor's race. And I voted for Ellen Sauerbrey against the sitting governor at the time, a guy named Paris Glendening. And Paris Glendening, like I said, he only did two things. He was governor of Maryland, I swear. He raised the speed limit and he brought the Browns from, into Baltimore to be the Ravens. That's it. I can't name another thing he did. I bought this for $1. This whole box was $1, plus shipping. So, 2015, I'm at an academic conference. I'm in Seattle, right? And I get tapped on my shoulder, right? And it was, Glendening won. I tapped on my shoulder, right? And I turn around, this guy's like, I can't see what the beers are up there, the bottles. Can you tell me what they are? Stuff like that. I turn around, it's Paris Glendening. Like, hey, I know you. I voted against you once. So here is a Boof Bosner out of 199. Boof Bosner. King Felix Press Proof out of 199 is a nice card. Of the ones to not be, in a top loader here or a penny sleeve. King Felix out of 199. Yeah, Cappy. Sean is my actual name. Adam Pyatt? I don't remember Adam Pyatt. Not numbered, but a little napkin relic there with a little bit of stitching in it. I don't know if the light will pick it up here. Merkin Valdez. Well, he lost the name, didn't he? Merkin Muffley. Anybody remember that movie? Right. Sean, I love your political talk. It's very interesting. Appreciate it. No problem. I'm not afraid to go out there. Right. That's why I'm at some point. A student asked me after class yesterday who I voted for, and it broke her heart when I told her I did, because I play all sides as much as I can, but you could tell she really wanted me to vote a different way. Alan Bradford. That name sounds familiar. Hand numbered to 200 on a Sage card. I didn't know something like that existed. Luke Stocker is another name that's familiar. Hand numbered again out of 200. That's pretty cool. Nice autos. George Iloka. It's another name that's familiar, but I can't place them. Auto. Not numbered on that one. Let's go over here on this side. Is that Rob Myers, rookie outfield? That is numbered 39.99. We almost got the last one. 39.17. Platinum Red, 1997 Pinnacle. Jose Ortiz out of 700. Nate Laurie out of 1150. So that's cool. BJ Cunningham says Eagles, right? Oh, signed by Eagles on that, but clearly in a Dolphins uniform out of 250. Basketball card here out of 1500. Steve Blake, really, from the Maryland. Is he still coaching somewhere? Anybody that's a basketball fan, college basketball fan? He was coaching some small college somewhere. I can't remember where. Steve Blake. Chris Keller, Golden Debuts. The top loaders were worth $1 alone, pretty much. 369 out of 1350 here out of an Aaron McNeil from 2000. Rare numbered card from 2000. Montel Owens out of 999 from Rookies and Stars in 06. Rookies and Stars. Not a name that rings a bell. Not a lot of Jaguars would, though. And Jason Hart out of 2000. So at some point, somebody thought this was a $10 card. But yeah. So my friend just looked just like Steve Blake. We always asked him how he was on the court when he was with us. Yeah. Steve Blake. Was he on Maryland's championship team? Is he that old, or was it after that? This is 03, so he would have been there before their championship team, right? Because they won the NCAA tournament in or maybe he was on it. Maybe it was 02 or 03. I can't remember which. So he might have been on that team. I don't know if I have that Keith Hernandez. I probably do, but I'm setting that aside. Unfortunately, Dave Gallagher did not make it. Look at this card. Sorry, Dave Gallagher. Yeah, it's good to have the reference things out there to look those things up. you know, the various reference websites, especially when I'm going through like sorting those Sage cards and stuff like that that I pull out of boxes and that don't have the, you know, team logos or anything on it. It's good to have that sort of thing to look at. So helps make this a lot easier when I'm sorting. I really think he was on that team. So this is all 89 tops. Again, straight out of a set. Nothing really in 89 tops that we're looking at. Are these out of a set? No, they're not in order. So maybe these are out of packs. Oh, now they're in order, right? So this is definitely out of a set. It just was put in a box in a different way. Yeah, baseball reference, there's a pro football reference, right? There's all of them. So let's see what we got here. See, I'll be back live again tonight over my political channel. Right? As the results come in, I'm going to zoom in on the various, you know, counties of interest to me. The bellwethers, Erie County, Bucks County in Pennsylvania. You know, Wake. I want to see what Wake County does in North Carolina. That should go heavy Republican or heavy Democrat though. And then the surrounding counties around Raleigh. I'm going to follow the western counties too, outside of Asheville, just to see what their turn-in rates are compared to, you know, the past and how Helene might have affected that. Not sure what time. It's going to be after my daughter goes to bed. So I'll probably just, like I did with this, just spur of the moment, just pop it up, and then I'll just sit here and watch the results. I've got my, you know, sports setup here of TVs here in the man cave that I'll put on, you know, various channels, and then just follow up with, you know, that kind of stuff. So guesstimate on the time, I'm going to guess around 8-ish p.m. Eastern. And I will hang out as long as I can talk, more or less, right? As long as there's somebody here to talk to. I'm not just talking to myself. Dr. Old School is the other channel. If you're not a subscriber, go on over there and check it out. But these are the other 89s here, and this looks like this is all 89 as well. So we got some of these didn't make it either here that got jammed in the corner. Sorry, Mike Aldretti. Right, look at that. And Marty Barrett got the worst of it. But yeah, some of these did too. Yuck. Greg Olson, rookie, didn't make it. I'm going to have to look at these a little more closely. Until about here, they look like they're all screwed up. So, yep, all these will wind up eventually in the Etsy shop packs. And looks like I got a lot of sorting to do. A lot more cards than I was expecting in here. Rather have you on and did not mind answering my rookie questions. Hey, that's what I'm here for, right? You know, I like to talk about this kind of stuff, and you know, when they cancel me, I need something else to do, right? Yeah, so this is it for the box, and you know, coming up here on 11:30, I kind of want to check back in and see what's going on out there in the world too. So I'm going to call it here, and appreciate you guys jumping on, chiming in, participating, and you know, definitely appreciate the time. One last card hiding in here is Kevin Mitchell, who was fresh off an MVP. Unfortunately, his corner is blown up. So anytime. So again, like I said, I'll be over there on the Dr. Old School channel sometime later tonight. And appreciate you guys watching. Appreciate you guys participating. Thanks a lot, Perry, SS. And we'll see you next time. All right? Have a good one.